Welcome to another episode of Chat GDP. Here we cover news, views, reviews, and a lot more. I am Aruni Sinhare, a senior school student from G.T. Birla Center for Education. Today we are going to be talking about geography, a core subject for ICSE students and a very important optional subject for ISC students of classes 11 and 12. Let us welcome our senior geography teachers, Ma'am Namanita Ghosh and Ma'am Ayana De, who will be guiding us to today's sessions and providing us valuable insights and strategies for tackling the upcoming ISC and ICSE examinations. The first question that I would like to ask you, ma'am, is would you like to give some suggestion to the ICSE students who are preparing for their exams?
Yes, Aruni. I would like to give you some tips for all the students taking the exam this year. We have had 1 year of preparation and we know the matter. So what is left is thorough revision and of course taking the exam. So here I would like to tell you that everybody should be keeping their calm, help themselves to focus, and then you already know what type of question answers. We have taken several tests, so accordingly they will have to take the exam. That's it. It's just another exam, but it's a very important exam, so we have to be a little more determined.
Ma'am Ghosh, would you like to add on something to this?
Yes, I think I would like to say that when you go in for your examination, girls, you should be very calm. That is what ma'am has already mentioned. Secondly, utilize the reading time very well. Another important thing for geography is don't forget to carry the stationery. It is very important to carry your pencils, color pencils especially, because you're going to do map work. Another thing that comes to my mind is when you do the map, don't forget to detach it from the question paper, because in ICSE the map is attached to the question paper. It's very important. Don't forget to detach it and attach it with your answer scripts. Otherwise, things are fairly normal, meaning it is how you do an exam in school. It is similar, except you have different teachers there guarding you, but that shouldn't matter at all. Because you should be very thorough, and I think you are all thorough with your syllabus, so it should be an easy examination.
Thank you for your advice, ma'am. I will proceed with my next question. My next question is, how do you think the ICSE students should prepare for map pointing?
It is very important that during the map practice you should be very, very precise with regards to the latitudes, where exactly you have to place the sometimes what happens is the entire lake is already marked, or let's say the gulf is marked. It becomes easy, but for certain features, maybe the ranges, you have to be very precise. And it is also important that you have to be very neat in your map pointing. And one thing that I would like to also mention out here, that sometimes I see children make this mistake, that instead of writing the physical features on the map, they tend to write just the answer number to the question number, which absolutely should be avoided. You have to write the name of the physical feature that is asked from you to point. And it is also important that if you don't have the amount of space that is required to point out that particular physical feature, you can use arrow marks, and the head of the arrow has to be point onto the physical feature of the map. Then you are sorted.
Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am Ghosh, do you have any other suggestions for this?
Only, yes, I do have suggestions. I first very much agree with what Ayana ma'am has said. Students should very much remember all that. Plus, I think you should, when you are doing map pointing, please remember all the pointers that were taught in class. It's very important to remember those pointers. Teachers must have discussed with you where exactly are the location of those places, and please follow those advices that were given. Another thing that comes to my mind, there's always some confusion about, for example, which is the highest peak of India. Remember, Mount K2 is accepted as the highest peak of India. These little things are important. Where will you exactly mark Mumbai High? That is just at the tip of, under the tip, below the tip of the Kathiawar Peninsula. So again, that perfection has to be achieved. Now, you will do well, because I know you are remembering all those things that the teacher has told you in class, and if you were serious in class, you will do excellently in math.
Thank you for your answer, ma'am. The next question is a question asked frequently by my juniors who are soon going to be appearing for their ICSE examinations. Ma'am, how do we prepare ourselves for topo maps?
Topographic maps are actually very easy. We have done a lot of topographic maps throughout the year. Certain tips I would like to give for topographic maps is the first thing that I would like to say for linear settlement. Instead of writing linear settlement as an identification of what kind of settlement are you finding in this particular region, you rather say it is a nucleated settlement or a dispersed settlement. Avoid linear settlement. All right. The second point is that when you are calculating a distance or finding a distance, let's say from one particular settlement to another, or maybe the river, then it is very important to write the unit. Otherwise, whatever you are taking as a calculation doesn't make any sense if you don't write an unit. And I've seen children losing marks on it. The third thing that I would like to say is that if they ask you identify a natural feature or a man-made feature, I would say that you steer clear out of trees. Do not write trees even as a natural feature or a man-made. Just avoid it completely. And the fourth important point that I would like to say is about the relative depth or the relative height. If the number is inside the water body, it means relative depth, and if the number is mentioned outside the water body, it means relative height.
Thank you for your answer, ma'am. Ghosh, would you like to add something to this?
Ma'am, they has more or less covered most of the topics for topo sheet. Few things that are important. The general thing is conventional signs and symbols. Be very clear about that. If you have to draw any conventional signs and symbols, use the correct colors. The definitions of conventional signs and symbols, please write the definitions correctly. So I think you know them. Give them, read them again before going to the examination hall. The definitions are important. Drawing is important. And of course, please do not make the mistake of eastings and the northings. Please remember the vertical lines are the eastings and the horizontal lines are the northings. Okay.
Thank you for your advice, ma'am. I'm sure these tips will be of great benefit to all the students who are preparing for their ICSE examinations. We will now be moving on to tackling some questions from the ISC examinations. My first question would be, what suggestion would you give to the students who are currently preparing for their ISC examinations?
ISC, the syllabus is huge. I do agree. It is India again, and it is a huge syllabus. But by now, the children have attempted many examination in school, so they know about the topics. They have been made familiar with the different types of questions that are coming now, more of application based questions that are being asked. So the student has to be a little bit serious. You have to be a little bit serious, and you have to, when you're studying, girls, I would always advise you, even now, even in class 12, to have your atlas open, because that is very important to have a clear idea about the important places where they're located in India, and that helps you to get better marks.
My next question is, how do you think ISC students should prepare for map pointing questions?
Only, as you know, map pointing in ISC is quite similar to map pointing in ICSE, in that you do have to mark and label few features. But other than that, you will also have to do an MCQ on map pointing in ISC. So that is a little bit different. That is what the ICSE students have not yet done. So over here, to know that, to attempt those questions, it is important you know your map pointing thoroughly. Whatever is there in the syllabus in map pointing, girls, I would suggest be thorough with it. Revise it, see to it that you know which river, the names of each river, then you know the names of the places which you're supposed to mark. So don't make mistakes on those, and otherwise it shouldn't be too much of a difficult work. It should be easy to tackle.
Thank you, ma'am. The next question is there any other way to approach or tackle the application based questions?
Oh, yes, yes. Application based questions are a new trend, and we see them in ICSE, and we are seeing a lot of them in ISC. Um, it is not very difficult. So don't think it is, some rocket science or anything like that. It is just that you should know your topic well and thoroughly. And what the evaluators are looking at is whether you can apply your knowledge, whatever you have learned, whether you can apply your knowledge correctly in your answer scripts. So, for example, I can give you an example. For example, if they give you a news article on Amphan cyclone, the moment the student reads that, the student should be able to understand that the question is related to tropical cyclones, because Amphan is affecting the east coast of India, and that is where the tropical cyclones will affect and cause their devastation. So the student must understand that this is a question on Amphan. That means it's a question on tropical cyclones. So I should remember the characteristics of the tropical cyclone and write my answers. So basically nothing is going to come out of your syllabus. It is just an interesting way of putting the question. So I think you will enjoy answering a question paper which has application based questions.
I would like to mention about the differences while writing the differences in the answers. So let's say a difference between tropical cyclone and temperate cyclone, let's say. So you have to be very, very clear that first of all, differences have to be written in the column format, all right, or a table format. So not paragraph wise. And the second most important thing is while writing the differences, you have to be very, very careful that it is on the same logic. The difference is on the same logic. So just to give a very small example, temperate cyclone and tropical cyclone, we have to make sure that if I am differentiating, writing about a tropical cyclone on the basis of origin, for the same point, a temperate cyclone, I will also differentiate on the basis of origin and not on any other point. So that has to be taken care of.
Thank you, ma'am. My last and final question for this session is, so is it really hard to score full marks in geography?
Already, yes, children do talk about not getting full 100 in geography, but I would advise the students not to go into the examination hall thinking about that. If you are well prepared, that shouldn't be a problem, because students are now scoring 100. There may not be many hundreds, but they are scoring 100, and if you are thorough with your knowledge, nobody can stop you from scoring 100. But there are few things to remember, few pointers I would like to mention. That writing an answer, it should be concise. Please bullet your answers. Nobody wants to read pages and pages of answers. We don't have the time, the evaluators don't have the time. So if you write it point wise, it is so much easier. You are making it teacher friendly answer script. The teacher will not make a mistake. They will not miss out any of your points. So write bullet points. If they are asking for name a state, please name a state and don't name a region. If they are asking for name a region, please don't go and name a state. So as a geography student, you should be aware what is a state, what is a region. So these are some silly mistakes that we often see in the paper, and which makes it easier for the evaluators to cut half a mark and 1 mark here and there. But if you can avoid that, if you are concise with your writing, if you are clear, if you have presented your work well, it shouldn't be a problem. I think you can easily score 100.
Ma'am, do you want to add any other suggestions to this?
Yes, Aruni, I would completely agree with ma'am. That the syllabus is quite detailed and extensive, ranging from a wide variety of topics. For example, let's say the physical features, then the climatic patterns, agricultural activities, economic geography. But having said that, it is also important to bear in mind that we have taken so many tests, we have done 1 year of hard work in preparing ourselves. So we have to do well, and we will do well. I would, if you are aiming for 100, I would say that there should not be any sort of selective study. So no selective study, and whatever you have done, you take it as it is with a little bit of more revision, and don't write unnecessarily when, let's say, you are asked just to mention a particular state. So don't write sentences after sentences. Make your answers very concise. Then otherwise what happens is at the end you are in need of more time and you may not be able to finish the paper. So that is very important. You need to be very concise, very precise in bulleted points. If required, then we'll give the explanation, etc. And if you follow all the instructions that have been given in the class, I don't see any problem in getting 100 actually.
Thank you for your advice, ma'am. I am sure this session was greatly beneficial for all the students who are preparing for their ICSE and ISC examinations. With this, another episode of ChatGDP comes to an end. Stay tuned and follow our special series for Board Examinations 2025. Till then, this is ChatGDP.